question. Could you give me a brief background as to why you decided to go into farming? Because, I mean, farming is usually seen as a niche industry.
Usually seen as what?
A niche industry, you know, as in growing up, most people say, go and be a doctor, go and be a lawyer. Not many people would say, I want to grow up to be a farmer.
It's I've always loved school. If you want every other business, one business that is going to last over time is that of food production.
Sure.
And then in the country, there is lots and lots of people without jobs, people without food, and the rest of them. It's just to fill in those gaps. Just to fill in those gaps.
Okay, so it's more about the passion for food production as well as employing labor.
And employing labor. That's just the start.
Now, thank you very much for helping us fill that questionnaire. Now we're going to kind of validate the responses you gave there to, I mean, find out reasons, because for some of the questions you answered, I'll let you know what some other poultry farmers who were interviewed responded. But at least going through yours, we listed some challenges that we believe are faced by poultry farmers. And they include financial management, and you ranked that as very high as one of the very major challenges. May I ask why?
Financial management, was that?
Yes, financial management.
What is even the angle from where the question is coming from?
Perfect. So generally, SMEs have this thing where they don't separate the owner of the business from the business. And the issue of finances just get very muddy. So to eat in the house, you dip into the business. To buy equity.
If that's the angle you're coming from, no.
Okay, so what angle were you answering it from?
I was thinking about the issue. Once I saw finance, I was looking at the wherewithal to finance the business with.
So more from capital.
In my own, capital. In my own farm, we have expanse of land, but then development that is up there in the brain cannot be put down on ground because of finance. That's just the
okay. I'm looking at. I'll make a note of that. So the financial management angle you were looking at was more of access to capital, and not the aspect of being able to handle cash flows, being able to do the rest of those.
Completely separated from it's completely separated from, as it is now. The farm is completely standing on its own. I really want to run with a separate bank account, run it separately, so that when I intend to now access any loan from any bank, I'll be able to present.
So have those records. Okay. So you said the farm has been in existence for over 5 years.
Yeah, it's up to 12, 13 years now.
Wow. Wow. And as in around 50,000 birds, and all of them are layers.
Yes, but now they are, I must be frank with you, they are not up to that amount now.
Okay.
Because that's about
but that's the capacity.
That's the capacity of the pen, the high-rise pen that is there. It's not even a down pen, it's a high-rise pen. That's the capacity of the pen.
Okay.
Which was around 3-4 years back, was fully occupied.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I mean, the same reason you've given now, I now understand why record keeping is also ranked low, because you have put in a structure in place to ensure that record keeping goes well. Why do you rank labor so high? As in, why is labor a challenge?
Labor is a challenge because the very, very particular place where the farm is sited, the community, they are hostile. But I don't know how to put it. They are not friendly at all. They just believe that for someone to acquire that large expanse of land, there is money out somewhere. So they should just bring up the money, let us squander it. and get it done over and done with. So if you employ them to work in the farm, they work and loot you at the same time. So over time, we stopped employing workers from that place. So we now have to go as far as Benue State or Calabar or Seme to get
Wow.
people to work.
And to work in, as in the farm is in Ogun State, but still labor has to come from that far.
Very, very far away.
Okay.
And even when you even get them, it's not as even when you get them, the villagers also come targeting them and then corrupt them, and then they leave.
Then those ones start to leave.
So as of now, what we are planning on ground is to fix up the place, put up television, and then work against them mingling with the villagers, which might not be very, very possible. Because you cannot
they have to
somebody
mingle.
They have to mingle one way or the other.
Okay, well, at the end of the interview, maybe I'll just share a few insights to one of the people I've spoken to in the past. He's quite popular. He's known as African Farmer.
Okay.
And an insight into how when I asked him how does he handle the issue of herdsmen and Fulani cattle on his farm, and he was telling me that he doesn't have that problem. But let me just conduct the interview, and I've made a note of it to remember to quickly mention it at the end of it. Okay. Your research and development in terms of R&D information, you ranked that not so much of a challenge. You ranked it as 3. May I quickly ask why?
Research.
Yes, research, like availability of information to say, oh, if you do like this with the chickens, they will lay 5 times faster, that kind of research information.
In that area, I have made my wild consultations. Gone to several farms that started before me, so I have gotten my information full on ground. And then the manager is there, has worked with series of farms, worked with Obasanjo farms, worked with other farms. So the knowledge of every of these things is on ground. The only challenge is that capital to expand, and then the availability of manpower. That's just our own challenge. And then in the infrastructure that I also wrote about electricity coming in there.
Yes, I think you made that as a separate note. Infrastructure in the area our farm is located, no good roads and no electricity supply.
Yeah, as at that 12, 13 years back, I envisaged that in 2 years' time the roads will be tarred, because they said it was a federal road line to Lagos and connecting Ota. So I felt it was going to be so. Each year they come around and promise us, vote for us, we'll do the road. It will still be like that. It's like a death trap.
Okay. Application of technology, not an issue because of the good manager you have. Market access, you also ranked it low, so you don't have a problem with market. There is always enough market buying from you at the price that you want.
Excessive market. Market is not an issue. It's not.
But the cost of the production
for eggs, no, that's not an issue. I tried broilers.
Yeah, please go ahead, man.
I tried broiler initially when I started, but the market for broiler was very bad. So that was why I stopped and then faced layers.
But the market for layers is much higher.
It's readily available. Anytime you want to send your spent layers, sell it off, people come begging you to release it to them. So it's not a problem at all.
But there's a problem in terms of contract sanctity. People, I mean, in which area is it from your vendors, from your suppliers, ethics, or is it just generally like this issue of labor and the rest? Is that what you refer to as ranking contract sanctity as very high?
What really is the question about that contract sanctity?
Okay, so imagine a situation where you have an agreement with Tasty Fried Chicken to supply them with 50 crates of eggs, and they will their payment terms is 15 days, right? But then you do the supply, and then 15 days comes and goes, nothing.
I don't do such.
Okay, so you just basically do.
We have enough market women that supply those people. They come to they even pay upfront. Some of them supply to Benin border. Some bring it into Lagos. So I've not even gone to any kind of tasty fried chicken, anything at all.
So it's the market is not an issue, and most people, I mean, they pay up front. So no issue of cherry cambia, as my brother.
You pay up front, yeah, you have to pay into the the only problem with that part is maybe when there is glut in the market. When there, for over that 13 years I've stayed in that business, people say they bury eggs in their farm, but I've not encountered such. Because once there is glut and you see it is coming, the next thing you have to do is reduce your price. Once your price goes down, they come to pick it up. You push it, keep pushing. Over time, it will go away.
Yeah, and then you can recoup the lost revenue when the glut passes.
Or if you now leave it and the eggs go bad to the extent that you bury it, the loss will just be too much for you to handle.
Yeah. So rather than totally lose, just at least recover something.
Our people in Igbo say, if you, instead of your cow to run away from you, you cut the tail and hold.
At least get the tail. Okay, but the availability and cost of inputs is still a challenge.
A very big one at that. That is where the capital issue comes to play. Because formerly, before the farm stopped about 2 years back, we're just restarting the farm now. We had our feed mill. The plants are still there. So if you now want to start up the feed mill again, it's going to require a huge amount of money.
Capital. So everything still boils down to capital.
Huge amount of money to restart. But we hope we're going to restart early next year, God willing. With or without our government.
With or without the government.
I'm sincerely telling you the truth because
it's been a disappointment.
Sincerely. I don't know how they should be able to put factors on ground to be able to really identify the real farmers and those that are not the real farmers. Because as I hear them say they have disbursed this much, they have disbursed this much, it simply means that they are really disbursing. Or is it that they're not disbursing? They are disbursing now, but the thing is that it is not getting to full-time farmers.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Because especially, I don't know of before, but I mean, with even all these COVID intervention funds, household funds and all, some of our members that we track come back and tell us that yes, they received, but you put in, you follow up on a list of maybe 1,000 members, but only 200 come back to you and tell you that they received, and they don't even receive the amount that they requested for. So
they requested for.
Yeah.
But out of that 200, if I am one of them, at least I'll be able to testify that at least our government is working sincerely. Over these years, I have keep on putting in for agri loan, agri grants, and the rest of them. None has come forth. None has come forth.
Well, like I said, but like that document I sent you, I really want. I guess we just make sure that we continue the conversation, even if it's on WhatsApp, so that the very next one that comes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Right, so that the very next one that comes, we could put you in for it, because after the COVID thing, we've begun to establish this relationship where we will compile all the list of NASIMA members and we will put pressure. And that's how the NEPC EDF one came about. Although they say they've shortlisted, but I think Usman in Abuja was just telling me today that some members have started reporting that they've received, but they are still disbursing. Okay, well, so now, based on what I've just been able to validate, the three major issues is capital, labor, and inputs. If we put government aside, what kind of solutions do you think can be made available to you that can solve these problems? I already have some at the back of my mind, but I don't want to preempt your responses. What kind of solutions do you think can be offered to you to solve these issues?
The issues on ground, that of labor,
capital, and then availability of inputs and the cost of inputs.
If you say put government aside, government aside, it's only the government that can give you loans. If
Hmm.
you go to the commercial bank to
Yeah.
get a loan to run agri business, you can definitely not cover it. It's not possible because their interest rate is on the
It's
high
high.
side. Yeah,
Okay,
it's only
but what if I told you that there is a company, for example, called Farm Crowding, and
farmers.
they Farm Crowdy, so like a crowd of people, put
Yeah,
Y after it, so that's crowdy, then
yeah,
farm crowdy.
okay,
And what their model is that, for example, if they know that you need 10 million naira,
yes,
right? They
yeah,
would agree with you that your layers, for example, maybe they lay over a period of 3 months, just
yeah,
as a hypothesis. So they will come
yeah,
to you and have an agreement that if we can raise 10 million naira for you, after 3 months, after you sell your eggs, will you be willing to pay the 10 million naira plus 7%, right?
yeah,
If that is established with you, they will now go out into the general public and say, oh yeah, oh, please bring in your 100,000 naira, and after 3 months, we can give you back 100,000 naira plus 5%,
okay,
right? Now you have a lot of professionals out there that have 100,000 naira, but they are too busy to go into farming. So they provide the 100,000 to farm crowding. It becomes
yeah,
10 million. Farm
okay,
crowding gives you the 10 million. You put it into production. 3 months after selling, you return, so that's how they make their money. And then the next cycle, you can decide whether to do it again or whether no, you don't want to do. So if a private company offers that kind of service, is
okay.
that something that a service you think can solve the challenge of capital?
Yes, it can. It can go a long way, sincerely.
Okay. So how about labor? How do you think, at least, I mean, is there a private initiative you also think that can help out with labor?
There are people that also get a recruitment for people, which I
Exactly.
have also used, but it still did not give.
Meets the needs.
That's yes, the only thing that I know that can sort out that very, very conducive. That is what I am trying to do. I've put up an inverter there that
Okay.
will definitely put up, give light throughout the night. I will
Okay.
now get. I'm planning within this week, before the end of this week, get the television, get a video machine, put it up there. Once they are done doing their work, they wouldn't have to now go outside to go and look at
Makes
people.
with the community. Yeah.
Make themselves comfortable in the house, and then sleep and get their rest for tomorrow's work,
Work.
and not gallivant about, because that place is full of nightlife. And once they go out, they mingle with them, the whole thing goes bizarre. That
Yeah.
is normal. I've seen it over the years, and it's just that way. I started with employing their people. They went as far as strangling my beds and taking it away as mortality.
See. Yeah. I heard that as well. I've even heard stories of them, of poultry farmer labor. They will break the eggs. They would have smuggled jerry can into the poultry, break
Pour it into
and
the
pour it in the
can.
jerry can and take it away.
So, uh, for proofing in my farm now, it is brought down to the barest minimum. I put up a CCTV camera in the pen, outside the pen, around the pen. But because there is no light there, that is why I'm putting up the inverter now. The inverter, by God's grace, will start off, will begin to work perfectly. And once it begins to work, the cameras are working, and then I'll be able to monitor from anywhere around the world where I am. And then you see that that part is settled. Then the only issue now is to keep the farm lively enough that they will prefer to be in the farm than being outside. Everybody
Mm.
you get.
Because it's more comfortable.
Maybe
But then
overtime.
you now also need to make sure
And
that they
then
don't invite people from outside in.
invite anybody. My manager will not even allow you to come.
Allow you.
In my we have a fellowship ground. My manager is also a pastor. So
Okay.
when it's there Friday, there is fellowship, which if you are working in the farm, it is mandatory for you to
Or,
attend. So it keeps them busy over the evening. And then the next part of it is I also plan that over the years, when I have about maybe 10, 15 workers, I will now look at them. If you really want to further your education, I can organize a lecturer or a teacher to come to the farm and teach them. Then over time, you can go and take your GCE, go for weekend program. That is the only way I have thought to myself that if you raise somebody up in the cadre of getting the person educated, because most of those people are not enlightened in any way. So all they know that of life. So if you get the person educated, even if it's just to go for weekend programs, over the year, it becomes more enlightened and more understanding of what life is all about. It's not just about going out and taking kai and coming back and
and
waking up.
I'm being high.
Those people, so many things you will hear there. You see them, they're taking tramadol. So even not for anything with a woman. That's just it. What kind of life is that? It's just not. So all those what I want to cut them off from, because once they mingle, they will also have to learn. They will definitely learn those traits, and then it will affect me because over time they have to go. You now beginning afresh to look for. And for you to enjoy any worker with you, you should be able to stay with the person about at least 2 to 3 years before the person talks of leaving. Not coming 6 months, 1 year, the person leaves. You now begin to look for
another person. So labor turnover, then, and this is cost of training, cost of patience in terms of the person making mistakes until he becomes adequate. Okay, ma. So I mean, I've captured these points as perfect feedback: capital, labor, inputs, as well as infrastructure. For the inputs, because of your own method is to basically create your own feed.
Yeah,
so your own feed mill. So your inputs would not, other people's inputs is the feed that you produce. Your own inputs would be the things you need for making the feeds.
For making the feed, yeah.
Yeah, like corn and soya beans and all that. Exactly. So if there was a solution that I mean just came and delivered the supply to you conveniently at even cheaper than market rates, would that be a solution? I mean, so that, because the issue again is supply chain. They have today, they don't have tomorrow. The truck from the north has not,
That is a challenge.
The truck from the north, yes. The truck from the north.
A challenge. If you want to pick your feed from a toll miller or a company that mills feed to supply to you, that also is applicable to them. You might not get
at that point in time.
People we are picking from now is from animal care, because we are buying feed to feed our birds from animal care. Sometimes you tell them my feed is going to finish 2 days time. The 2 days time will come and go. We will still have to go to the website to buy their feed to feed. And then also another challenge in buying toll mill feed is when there is scarcity of maybe soya meal, for instance. They can alternate. And then once you supplement something for some other in poultry feed, the effect shows on the birds and then their laying.
Yes.
And then when it begins to show, there is a possibility you might not even know until it has gotten so bad. So, but if you are milling the feed yourself, there are also the challenges in the feed. But if you have somebody that is capable on ground, you'll be sure of what your inputs are.
Always. The standard needs to always be assured.
Be very, very sure of this. This is my standard. This is what I'm doing the best. But from outside, you are not so sure. Just bank on, they have produced. That was why I had to go for animal care. I said animal care, at least they have been too old in this business and they should know that any mistake in the feed
would affect the output.
Yes.
Okay, ma. So after validating, I mean, thank you so much for this input. And even because your input is going to go back and refine the idea, because the idea I'm about to discuss with you currently doesn't cover the aspect of capital, right? So it's a very, especially with this farm crowding example I gave, so it will help. But the solution that we're trying to provide for poultry farmers is an enterprise management software. So I'll just give you 2 examples of what we are trying to use the solution for. The first example is it going to be possible to stay in the comfort of your parlor and open an app and basically see the current state of the poultry farm in terms of the business cycle? How much have you spent so far? In terms of the output for today, how much eggs were produced and things like that. So that rather than always have to go physically or ask somebody for the reports, it's going to be something that the app can give you. The second thing that this enterprise solution we're trying to do is that the more you have poultry farmers, like let's say, for example, now there are 4 poultry farms that are using the app. You immediately know what quantity of feed they need by when. One can now go to the feed producers and negotiate better terms, right? And say, look, why are you stressing yourself? This is a community of 4 poultry farmers, and we know the point in time they want the feed. So essentially, the app would help to introduce that convenience of, you know, when they say the Japanese do just in time, right? Exactly. So those are the 2 solutions that I think the app can provide. And just to even buttress, before I move on to the next set of questions, I'll just quickly share my screen to give you an idea of what we're talking about, right? Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Right. So the app is still something, I mean, we're still in the idea stage, but just to give you a feel of what we're trying to talk about, imagine an app that once you log into from wherever you are, and that's what I'm about to do, it will show you a bird's eye view of what's happening in your poultry at any point in time. So imagine a situation where this is the app, and as you're looking at it, sorry, it's coming up. As you are looking at it, it's giving you a bird's eye view of how many orders you've gotten, what is the lay rate or whatever metrics, how many customers you have, what is your sales projection, and things like that. So that's the solution we're providing. And just to let you know that it's part of a larger thing that we've been doing over over a space of 2 years with Excel. I'll give a brief example of what the Excel looks like, which I'm sure your farm manager is already using. So basically, it's still over the years, you know, something that one can capture in Excel. But we're now thinking, okay, can you use technology to create a software out of it and then provide it as a solution to poultry farmers? They also helping them resolve issues of cost and availability of inputs. So that being said, man, do you think this kind of solution is a solution that can be applied at Mesco farms?
Yes, it can be applied. But you know the issue of all these apps and co.
Yeah.
Most of them will need them. We need data, need electricity, and the rest of them.
So
It's
the
applicable.
limitation of
Unlike
that.
like in my own office now, we also have an app that we use to run our business, day-to-day business activities. So
Okay.
so this one in the farm is also applicable. It's something that is good, readily available information. Just get to the app, you get your informations down.
Exactly.
It is very, very possible. But then for my area where there's no light and cool, all those things might be a bit difficult without.
Okay, so supposing it was built like WhatsApp. What I mean by WhatsApp is
just on the phone.
Yes, so with WhatsApp, just on the phone, when there's no internet, yes, it will still allow you to enter the message. But it is when there is internet that, you know,
it now moves.
Exactly, it now moves. So if it was built like that, would it
Yeah, it will go a long way. Very, very.
Implementation.
Now I'm like in my own farm now.
Okay.
My manager is not my manager is the one that lives in the farm. For now, I don't even go. It's been long. I
Go
even
there.
went to the farm.
Went. Okay.
Stuff like that, you can give me even if it's just a weekly
Update of what's going on.
update on what is going on in the farm. So it's a welcome idea.
Okay.
It's a welcome idea.
Final question. If eventually such an app is developed that is like WhatsApp, that doesn't as in what I mean by is like it's WhatsApp is it's on your phone. If there's no internet,
can
it
use
will still
without
allow
the
you to
data.
interact, yes. But when the data comes, then the last thing that was done will now be transmitted. Would you be willing to pay 2,000 naira a month to use such an app?
A month?
Yes, a month.
You said 2,000 naira a month. It's
2,000.
fantastic now.
2,000 naira a
Why are
month.
you laughing?
Because you said,
Yes.
because you asked me again if I was sure. Okay, so 2,000 naira a month.
If someone were to ask me to use 2,000 naira for WhatsApp in a month, wouldn't I just jump up?
Yeah. Right. Okay, so I don't know if there's anything else you would want me to capture. I mean, I've captured the aspect of capital, which can still refine the idea, the issue of labor, and the issue of inputs and infrastructure. Those are the four major things I have gotten.
Yeah.
Is there anything
That
else
should
you
be
would? Okay, that should do it. Okay, thank you so much, man. So sorry for, I know you should be resting now. So sorry for taking your time. I'm very grateful. I will stop recording so that I'll share with you what I wanted to say about African farmer and how he's been able to resolve his own issues.